Hello, welcome, and an excellent evening. And we have another GameGear here, one that actually works because I replaced all the capacitors inside of it, and I can show you that it works. I hope you can see that, because the screen is always a bit tricky. I'm gonna turn down the volume, and everything works here. But as you can see, the original screen is terrible, eats batteries for breakfast and all that stuff that we all love about the GameGear. The brightness control does work, but yeah, the original screen is interesting in and of itself. I do have another one lying around somewhere, but I think it's dead. The usual IPS mod that I'm doing is not available at the moment anymore, so I ordered a different mod from AliExpress. It has this lattice FPGA, 2 SRAM chips from what I can see, and that's more or less it. There are 3 plugs that I need to solder to the main board, plus there is a little flex cable that attaches also to the main board, and this is also similar to what the RetroKai mod that I used to use did, but those guys seem to be AWOL basically, which is sad because the product was great. I got great support from them. I don't know if something happened to them, but they don't respond anymore. So be careful if you want to order from them, which I did in the past successfully and also with quick delivery. Currently, that doesn't work anymore. So what we're gonna do now is try out this AliExpress mod, and they change all the time, but maybe this one here will help somebody. I think I'm gonna end up using this shell here with the front glass, because this is actually a so-called laminated screen. That is, it is glued to the front glass, and the display, as you can see, is bigger than the old display, and you need to Dremel out something. And I want to keep the original shell if this fails in some fashion, so to speak. So we're gonna open this up. There's still the security screw in here, and we will first test this mod in situ. Basically, we'll have to solder in the flex cable or the flex PCB and the little wires with the attached plugs, which look like this. Can you see that? Probably, hopefully. And we also need to remove the fluorescent tube, the high voltage transformer, and maybe some fuses, I think, right next to the tube, so that we have all the high voltage stuff removed. Cut the 35-volt line, I think. At least that's what one usually does, to get rid of the relatively high voltage of 35 volts, so that it doesn't hurt the main board in any way. So yeah, I'll open this up, I'll skip through this, and then we'll see. This is the GameGear module or board removed, with the original screen attached. We will have to desolder the screen, but before we do that, we have to remove the backlight reflector. This is the shiny plastic piece here, which is metallized, for better reflection, so they utilize this to illuminate the LCD screen from the backside. There's a little compact fluorescent light tube which is driven by high voltage, so always be a bit careful about that thing. I'm not sure I can get it out like this. I think I need to cut and desolder this here. Probably I'm just gonna cut this. It's probably easiest and we don't need it anyhow. So little snip here, little snip over here in theory. If I can see where I'm cutting, it's actually correct. Now we should be able to remove the whole assembly. This is the tiny little fluorescent tube, which is really neat. This was back in the 80s and 90s the only way to light something efficiently with bright white light and not like a yellow incandescent. And this is the mirror, basically. You can probably see my recording setup here, yeah. Yeah, pretty neat. Plus we have the fuses here, which we should take out. I'm gonna snip them off as well. Probably easiest, but maybe we'll leave them like they are. What we definitely need to do is we need to desolder the screen here, and that we do with this here. We might want to take some flux. The board has been prepared. The whole backlight electronics have been removed, including the transformer, the inductor, and I don't know, it's probably a PTC thermal fuse or something, I don't know. Yeah, this can go in the bin because we won't need it anymore. And now we can actually test the board. That's what you're supposed to do, to see if it still has good power after removing everything. Otherwise we will have an issue, so to speak. For that we attach ourselves at the, let's see, at least at the power connector, which is this one here, so that we can check the voltages. That's what the instructions say. 5 volts should be there. Let's move it like so. There's still 35 volts, which doesn't hurt us, not directly at least. But I'm gonna flip it over like this. And I'm gonna put in the power here and move this a little bit out of the way. And I'm going to try and put the meter somewhere where you can see it, for example like that. And let's look up the pinout of the cartridge connector. Pin 16 should be ground. That should be this one here. And VCC should be right in the middle here. So once I turn this on, hopefully nothing explodes, and I probe here, we see, not enough, 0.5. Am I doing something wrong? There we go, we have got a power light. I think this actually needs the soundboard to be plugged in, at least it looked like it would require. It's 4.894 volts. I think that is good enough for us. It is not too high. It might be a little bit on the low side, but I think this is perfectly fine for what we are doing. More than 5.45 volts would be bad, they said in the instructions, and we don't have that. So I think we can continue with our work here. So I would retin these with a little bit of solder, fresh solder, because we need to solder the little flex board to this thing. So I'm gonna prepare this a little bit. After all, this is 30-year-old solder, no flux. I will add some flux in a minute. We don't need all the pins, we only need like 5 or so to be soldered. I forgot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 it is. Make sure that there are no solder bridges. Right now we have a ton. Picking up the excess solder, and this is where a little bit of flux will come in handy to clean out everything. And be sure to clean everything before installing the LCD, because LCDs and IPA don't mix. I learned that the hard way. There's a video, I think, from my earlier attempts. So please, 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 always clean off the flux before installing any LCD. Afterwards, the IPA can creep into the LCD module, and this will make it cloudy, and it will never go away. Okay, this is now looking very nice and shiny. So I'm gonna clean this up and I'll be right back. Now it's time for this tiny little flex PCB. With the RetroKai mod, it was a solid PCB. But it seems the Chinese made it even cheaper and easier, I would guess. This actually belongs, I think, on this pin, like so, I guess. VCC, the GameGear switch. Maybe we wanna cut those pins a bit below here, because those are protruding a bit. So this is the pin that we need to solder to, and I think I will cut this a bit more flush. Careful not to damage any traces. Also below the VCC and ground. Ground was this one here. So very carefully. Everything can be repaired, but I rather want not to have to do this. So this should be better. Okay, I think this is looking pretty decent now. Now we need to focus here. Pins 9 and 57. Let's see if we aligned this correctly. This is a little bit tricky. We have pin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, this is correct. Then this is 16, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, we are aligned correctly, which is a good thing. And now we're gonna try and attach these things. This will be fun. Oh, okay. I think it's also on the underside. Oh, that is clever. Okay, I don't need any solder. I just need to heat this up. Well, that is neat. This is a neat trick that they're doing here. That is very, very neat indeed. So let's check again that we align correctly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, should work. So basically I just need to heat it up a little bit. Oh boy. Okay, let's test for continuity. This will be very, very interesting. So let's see if we got continuity from pin 9 to wherever is this going? This is going up here, here, here. I think it should go somewhere up here. I think we had continuity. Oh, this is so hard to measure. So difficult. Interesting, interesting. So not quite sure if continuity is there. But if I measure from here to here, yeah, I think it's not perfect yet. Let me add a little bit of flux and redo this. I think there needs to be some flow of solder beneath this whole thing. Interesting, very interesting indeed. I think the leftmost and the rightmost are fine. I think that is seemingly pretty decent. And I think now we should be making good contact. I think. Let's drag this up here a little bit. I think in principle it's a pretty decent and nice idea here. So let's check this again. We should have from pin 9 to somewhere up here. Yes, now I've got good contact. 16. Yes. 18. Yes. 20. Yes. 39. Yes. And 57. Perfect. Okay, this is looking good. Let's do the other connections here. The GGSMS, which switches between GameGear and Master System. The VCC, which powers the whole thing, and the ground, which we need for the whole circuit to actually make sense. There we go. This is a really nice solution, I must say. All right, there we go. Cleaning this up. Everything's cleaned up. This is looking pretty nice, and I think this is fine. Everything is soldered down. Maybe I'll move this a bit further down. It's sticking up a little bit. And this is harder than I thought because it's getting very hot. Better. Better. Okay, very nice. And this is the PCB that will go in here for the screen control, and it will go in like so. I think you can even solder it in place if you want, but let's not do that. Next step is to connect all the wiring harnesses here, which should hopefully be easy enough. There are 3 different plugs, T3, T4 and T2, and also of course a flat ribbon connector here for the screen itself, and one for the power and other control signals that are coming from over there, which we'll do in a second. I think this one here is the thing that goes to T3, and this is supposed to be going to different things. Red and yellow is supposed to go to the contrast knob 2 and 3. Green and blue is supposed to go to C37. I think. And the black cable to C38 and the blue to C36. Interesting. Yeah, let me do that real quick. No, all back. This was the instructions for the VA1 motherboard. The instructions are indeed not that great. I must say the RetroKai instructions were much better. So we're supposed to run a jumper wire from T10, it's a test point here, to T11, which is here. So we need a little bit of wire. Probably this will do. Yeah, this looks to be very nice. How long does it have to be? Not very long at all. Something like this. And add some fresh solder, I would say. Let's check continuity between T11 and T10. And there is continuity. Great. Okay, so that board is installed. Other than that, we need to do something. P3, 4 and 5 is pins 3, 4 and 5, which are blue, green and yellow. Need to go to C30, C29, C28 on the right, left and down. Okay, I'll do that and I'll be back in a minute. The first cable is installed. I think I did that right. The instructions are a little bit unclear about pins 1 and 2, which is the red and the black, but I think they need to go to the contrast wheel, no matter which version of the board we have. If not, we'll see. Either way, make sure to stay off these gold pads. These are the points of contact that you have from the front shell, namely, let me see, these are also on the back side. I think it's from the back shell, if I can find it. Exactly. This is these are the 3 posts that make contact here to give this more rigidity. So there must not be any cables there, so that's why I routed the black and red cables like so, and also used some Captain tape to put it all down so that it doesn't fly away. This here is already kind of wedged in place. Now we have to do the 2-pin cable, which is this one here, and I'm not quite clear where this is supposed to go because it has some weird instructions here for the 2-chip, the VA0 board that we have here, but I'll figure it out. Alright, I looked up more instructions for this mod, and I figured out this seems to be a clone of a funny playing board just by looking at this. I didn't bother to check this, but I think also that funny playing don't sell that anymore, or at least I didn't see that in their shop. And the instructions on AliExpress are sometimes a bit terse or short. Supposedly we should remove a couple more components, which I'm not going to do right away. I think this high voltage section is more or less good enough, hopefully. And I think that this wire is not needed because I think this is for the backlight. If you have installed something like the VGA connector, which you can do somehow, I think here over this header, probably, but I'm not going to do that anyway. And the clock signal for the whole board comes from this point here. I hope I got this right. This leaves only one more thing to solder, and then we can plug in T1 and the screen and test it, hopefully. So this is all much more janky without the official funny playing support. If I had known that it was from them and I could buy it with them or a reseller, I definitely would have gone that route, because that's obviously much better than this AliExpress knockoff. I tend to buy the original stuff if I can, because you have much better support. Alrighty, the GameGear is reassembled a bit because, as it turns out, there was nothing more to do. I'm gonna lift this up a little bit and turn the power on. If it were plugged in, that is. So let's try this again. Oh, there we go. Okay, as you can see, it works. And Columns is booting up quite nicely. Let's retry that. Yeah, that looks good. I think this is more or less everything we need to be preparing here. Let's unplug this very quickly. Thing is, now we need to mount the display, and the display is laminated. That means it has to go in through the old opening with lens and everything attached, like so. And we first have to get out this old lens here. I'm gonna push carefully against this, but I think this might be a bit too hard to do. We might have to use a little bit of hot air, like 80 degrees or something not too hot. I'll try to do that and remove this. Probably also use some kind of tool here to push this out through these holes. And we will have to Dremel quite a bit. We will have to remove, I think, everything here around this corner, because this bezel is what we need to take away so that the actual screen can fit through, because the screen is actually the size of the bezel that you can see here. The screen is actually a little bit bigger than the original screen, which is nice. So yeah, let's do that. this came off quite okay. There are very few remains of the glue, which we have to remove. Otherwise, I think this will draw some bubbles or air into it and be generally not very pleasant. So let us remove that, and then I think we can start dremeling away the bezel, which I'll probably do outside due to the amount of dust that it might generate. Definitely gonna wear some FFP2 mask, leftovers from the pandemic. That's definitely a good idea, with a lot of plastic dust flying around, and especially since there's also a like iron powder coating or something against RF interference or something. Okay, this is looking quite good. So yeah, let's go and dremel away this whole section here. That should be relatively easy. Plus, I think we need to remove this post. That is always the case also for the other LCD mods, because the flex cable is going right here over the LCD to the main board. And yeah, this will have to go as well. The case has been dremeled. It is not super nice, but it is smooth and cleaned, and especially it is the right size. So I think we'll put it in place now and see how it looks, and hopefully after that we can screw everything back together. So what I would want to see would be aftermarket shells for exactly this kind of display, because this is really tedious work. The alternative is to use a non-laminated display, which is smaller and which is fit behind this whole thing. So you only have to cut out the screw post up here, but not the bezel. That's much less work and cleaner. But you won't see this because the glass lens is of course in front of it, so no big deal there. There it is, preliminarily put together. I still need to cut those metal leaves sticking out from the shield here, because I don't think it will close up without hurting the LCD. But we can turn this over very carefully and try and turn it on without having too much glare. And there you go. Still works. Even the speaker should be connected now. Yeah, seems fine. There you have it. This is the end result. And as a comparison, I put my orange GameGear with the Retro Kai mod in here. And as you can see, it's a little bit smaller than the other one. Quite hard to see actually, but this is basically this wide. So you gain like roughly 5 millimeters on the horizontal axis, I would say. Not super duper extra much, but a little bit better. In person, this one looks better, I would say. The colors are richer. It doesn't, well, it does have the viewing angle limited a little bit, but I think the display itself is a little bit better. But both are very great options. Sad that the Retro Kai people seem to have gone AWOL and I can't order from them anymore. Installation wise, I would say this one was a bit more difficult because of the dremeling of the case. It would be nice to have third-party cases. Let's try to focus on that because it actually looks better than you're currently seeing. But either one works fine. This here is complaining about battery voltage because I'm using rechargeables, and this one here has a USB-C Retro 6 board in it, I think, or was it also from Retro Kai? I don't know, with USB-C, and it complains more quickly, but this will run still for an hour or two, even if it's blinking. This one got the original power board, so it doesn't complain as quickly. Yeah, that's it. That's what I wanted to show you. The Funny Playing 4.2 mod from 2025 is definitely a very good thing. I'm not sure if I would go with the pre-laminated display again. You're also limited to this kind of lens. I do like this lens here because it is curved like the original and it is kind of soft. So if you get a dent in there, it will heal over time. You can see I've been playing with this for like 4 years, taking it on trips, etc. And it's still looking pretty good. And this here has a glass lens, also very high quality. I think that's glass, maybe acrylic, I don't know. But it's flat. On the other hand, it has the GameGear and the SEGA logo, which this one doesn't. So yeah, depends on your taste. I think both are great. So leave a comment, share, like, subscribe, the usual stuff. You can support me on Patreon, Ko-Fi, etc. But yeah, please leave a comment with your modding experiences. What are you doing with the GameGears? And I'm gonna see you in the next video. Bye!